Session of Imina Trensai Trust, Nat Congression, Manhoban Guahan is hereby called to order. Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you're recognized there.
Madam Speaker, I move to move table items 2 to 5 of the session agenda.
Sizosma Asi. There has been a motion to table items 2 to 5 of our legislative session agenda. Are there any objections? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Okay, Mr. Recording Secretary, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey,
Present.
Representative Blas Tyron,
Gaigizu.
Representative Camacho,
Present.
Representative Chung,
Present.
Representative Common,
Esteguiza.
Representative DeHelig, Representative Flores,
Gaigiza.
Representative Gale, Representative LeBang,
Present.
Representative Lagman, Representative Laurel Azama, Representative Lorenzo,
Present.
Representative Makepeace,
Present.
Representative Matanani, Representative Pareda, Representative Kichitsu,
Gaigiza.
Representative Yajoa, Representative Valencia,
Present.
Representative Villanueva,
Present.
Representative Wang,
Present.
Representative Yabut.
Present.
Madam Speaker, there is a quorum.
Sizosma Asi. Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, I call for the approval of a legislative journal dated February 20th, 2021.
There has been a motion to approve legislative journal dated December 19, 2020. Is there an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. Majority Leader, you're still recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to waive items 7 to 12 of the session agenda.
Okay. Sizosma Asi, there has been a motion to waive items 7 to 12 of our legislative agenda. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Majority Leader, you're still recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to resolve into the Committee of the Whole for the purposes of inaugurating members of the 33rd Guam Youth Congress.
Sizosma Asi, there has been a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole for the purposes of inaugurating our representative-elects of the 33rd Guam Youth Congress. Is there an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. We are now in the Committee of the Whole. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can please rise for the entrance of our representative-elects. Representative-elect Noel Brandon de Gracia, representing the University of Guam. Representative Chloe Lazama, representing Tizen High School. Representative-elect Naomi Grace Perez, representing Academy of Our Lady of Guam. Thank you. Representative-elects, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I solemnly swear, in the presence of Almighty God, that I will and faithfully support the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the United States, applicable to Guam, and the laws of Guam, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my duties as a representative of the 33rd Guam Youth Congress. Congratulations, Representative. Round of applause, please. Thank you, everyone. You can be seated now. Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you're recognized, sir.
Madam Speaker, I move to rise from the Committee of the Whole.
Sizos Ma'asi, there's been a motion to rise from the Committee of the Whole. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay. We are in recess. One moment. We are back from recess. All rise, please, for the prayer. Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Ginini Tata Ilihinya del Espiritu Santo. Lord, help us today to make decisions that will better the lives of the youth of Guam, that will empower them to seek change in their community for the better, and that will allow us, their leaders, to be honest servants for the welfare of our island, an island that we all love and we call our home. In this we pray, Tatan Mami ni Gagi Haugi Langit, umatuna inanmu, umamalai gobyernomu, umafatina si pentomu, asigitanu komigi langit. Na iham pogu nui kadahaan inagun mami, zauna si iham nui divin mami, tagwihi inasisi dumiri biham siha, zatamu ham pumopulu na infan basna kitentashon, lo nafan libraham gitailadzi. Amen. Si Diyos ang inagi Maria bulahaw grasya, si Diyos kay gidhagu, umatunahaw ang titoro si pamalawan, sa matunay finanagomo a Jesus. Santa Maria na ng Diyos, tatajuti minisa pago, darion finatay mami. Amen. Santa Maria ang kamalan, tatajuti ham. Ini Tata, ilihin niya dyan Espiritu Santo.
Sizos Ma'asi, can we have Representative Ujoa for the National Anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
Representative Kichicho for the Guam hymn, please.
Fanogita moru purita nota kantai mantu nonya itoru ilugar padari honra padari gloria abiba isla sempada padari honra padari gloria abiba isla sempada utoru itampu ipas padahita sangin langit na bendisyon contra peligro na fan sa fuham sus prota islangom contra peligro na fan sa fuham sus prota islangom.
Representative Flores for the Inifresi.
Nifrasi, kini namastakilo gihnasoko, imastakilum gikurasonhu, zani masfigu na ninasinyahu, ufrasan maisazo para by protehi, zanhu defendi, ihinengi, ikotura, airi, ihanum, zanitanut samodu, niran shaku diretsu gininasdos tata, estu afitma, gihilui biblia, zani banderahu, ibanderangwahan.
Thank you. Please be seated. Sizos Maasi. Next on our legislative agenda, we will Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you recognize, sir.
Madam Speaker, I move to waive all items before motion.
Sizos Maasi, there has been a motion to move items, 7 through 12 of our legislative agenda. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. We are now in motions. Okay. Representative Flores, you are recognized for Bill 2.
Sijos Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move to place Bill 2-33 in the second reading file.
Sizos Maasi, there's been a motion to place Bill number 2-33 into the second reading file. Do I for discussion?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Sizos
Just
Maasi.
point of information, I'm the main sponsor of the bill. I'm the main sponsor of the bill.
Sizos Maasi. So there's been a motion to place Bill number 2-33 as introduced by, thank you, Vice Speaker, by Vice Speaker Al Labang, co-sponsored by Chair Nolan Flores. My apologies. Vice Speaker, your motion.
I move to place the second reading file.
Thank you for discussion. So we have a motion, Bill number 2-33, to place into the second reading file. This is for us to start the discussions on the bill. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. Vice Speaker, you're recognized for the opening statements.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and colleagues, so last term I represented the University of Guam, and we were given an opportunity to set up a Guam Congress table within the first day of classes last fall, I believe, before the pandemic hit. So Back then, it was me, Representative Nolan Flores, and Representative Curry Garrido. We set up an interactive table where students can post things that they want to change here on Guam. And prevalently, students posted that they wish to be exempted from jury duty for reasons of hindrance from classes, especially like some students have to drop a class. That's worth like $600, or worst case scenario, some classes that are 5 credits cost $1,000. Okay, so Madam Speaker and my fellow colleagues, COVID-19, it transitioned us from traditional face-to-face learning to either online learning or hard copy learning. As a college student and as a secondary education major and future teacher, I feel the hardship that this shift in learning setup. With the hardship the student faced with this new learning environment, that's the reason why I introduced this bill. Bill 2-33 COR seeks to exempt high school students and college students from jury duty. We all know that jury duty is an important civic duty. However, it hinders student success to fully engage themselves in academic and from missing homework, doing makeup assignment, missing quizzes, and making additional time to make up work on top of rigorous and challenging classes. We all know that college is a fast-paced environment, and missing a class would let you behind. And Dr. Ron McNinch actually approached me into exempting this bill. And he said on an article that students have failed classes, received lower grades, or had to withdraw, and thus lose their tuition because of the current jury service rules for the students. Madam Speaker and colleagues, I have friends and classmates who have to do this pre-COVID era. With the current challenges we experience with online class, it will be harder for students. Madam Speaker and colleagues, I ask you, let us ease students' lives and let us exempt students from jury duty. And I urge you to support this measure.
Sizos Ma'asi Vice Speaker Labang. On the main motion, would any representatives like to speak regarding on Bill 2-33? Representative Common, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker and colleagues, I am against this bill, and it is known that I am not a college student who this bill would benefit, but I am a high school student. But what I am is an American citizen. Jury duty is a civic duty that all Americans have. It is a right for those who are accused, and it is the privilege of this democracy. As a US citizen, we enjoy the right to vote and certain duties, but we cannot just pick and choose which duties we would want to do or not. For example, when a male turns 18, he must fill out the selective service, which means in a time of a national emergency, he may be drafted. And I can assure you, I believe no one would want to do that, and it would be a hindrance to many things in their life. I believe this bill is unfair to other citizens who are not privileged with an education to miss jury duty. What about our constituents who are working and who are parents? Where is their exemption? The courts in the past have exempted individuals, so exemption from jury duty is not impossible. Madam Speaker and colleagues, does this body or the Guam legislature have the authority to change the law regarding jury duty in the district court? The answer is no. According to a source from the District Court of Guam, 28 U.S. Code 1863 prevents us from making that decision, which is reserved for the United States Congress. set up, as this Guam legislature is set up by another federal statute, which is the Organic Act of Guam. Those are my remarks.
Suzo Maasi, Representative Common. Any other representative would like to speak on the main motion? Representative Healy, you're recognized.
Suzus Maasi, Madam Speaker. I have a question for the main sponsor of the bill, if he may yield.
Suzo Maasi, will the author of the bill yield?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
My question for the main sponsor is, what is the constitutionality of the restrictions when it comes to deciding, when it came to deciding of not allowing college students to participate in jury duty? So are there any other, if I may retract my question and state it in a better way, my question would be, are there any other limitations that prevent people from serving through the jury duty? And if the sponsor may yield to the question. Suzus Maasi.
I don't see any limitations in regards to exempting students in jury duty because in the past there has been an exemption as well. Like if you read the other parts of the bill, it exempts physicians from. It exempts physician. Physician, member of the clergy, elected official, and of course, like our police department, personnel, and employee of the government. And it says you're over 65 years old and woman who's breastfeeding. And in regards to the Organic Act of Guam, I think it sets the legislature to decide on how they want to set up the courts and promulgate the rules regarding to the courts itself.
Suzo Maasi, Vice Speaker. Representative Healy, does that satisfy your question?
Again, Suzus Maasi.
Suzo Maasi. Back on the main motion for Bill 2-33. Any other representatives would like to speak? Representative Camacho, you're recognized.
May I ask a question to the main sponsor?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Will the sponsor-
regarding the bill, you mentioned how some of your colleagues have experience and concerns regarding jury duty and they brought it to their teachers. Has this issue or concern ever been brought up to the Board of UOG or the Board of Education?
Vice Speaker will yield to the question.
Yes, I believe so, because the past 2 terms of the Guam legislature, similar measures have been introduced but not entertained.
My apologies, Vice Speaker. Can you say that one more time?
Oh, sorry.
Coming a little muffled.
So I believe so, because in the past legislatures, they've introduced similar measures to exempt students from jury duty, but it's been held up within the committee, or it did not move forward.
Suzo Maasi, Representative Camacho, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, thank you.
Suzo Maasi. We're back on the main motion. Would any other representative like to speak on Bill 2-33? Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Cesar Maasi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to express my support for this bill. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think many of us can relate to the demanding schedule everyone has as students. We have a lot of stuff stacked onto us. Some of us have jobs. Others take care of family members. And so it's really important that we have this time. Oftentimes when we miss school, even if it's excused, we have piles of work to catch up on. And that's not, if we're against this bill, we're not thinking about, how our youth will be impacted mentally from the increase in work they have. And so, especially in a time like this pandemic, where a lot of people are just sitting at home on their computers attending school, it's important that they have, a break sometimes, and they don't just have their works piled up. I'd also just like to share, I know some people have expressed opposition to the bill, some members of our body have expressed opposition to the bill, but this has already, policies like this have already been looked at and examined on local level in the legislative branch. And so I'd just like to add that this is correct and this is something that we can do. So I think I urge my colleagues to just support this policy for the welfare of our students here on Guam, and to think about how demanding our schedules are and the mental capacity we have dealing with the multiple facets that life brings. So, Sizos Masi, and thank you for hearing me.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Back on the main motion, any representatives will wish to speak about 2-33. Legislative Secretary Yabut, and then we'll go to Representative Flores.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to rise in support of this bill. Most of us here are students, if not all of us, and I think this pandemic really showed just how difficult it is to be a student and to, on top of that, juggle the pandemic. And then if you add jury duty on top of that, it just makes everything so much more difficult. And as students, professors and teachers aren't necessarily required to kind of give us a little more leeway, as opposed to if you have a job, then your employer is required to give you that leeway to go to jury duty and do whatever you need to do. And yes, I'd like to thank Vice Speaker for sponsoring this bill, and I would like to rise in support of it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Yabut. Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. Before I begin with my remarks, I'd first like to speak on questions of constitutionality or the organic nature of this bill. So Chapter 22 of Title VII GCA, this was discussed during the committee meeting as well as several caucus meetings. This bill would only apply to the local courts. So the district court, this bill would have no effect on their selection, on their jury selection procedure. If I may read it from GCA. Since the Court Reorganization Act of 1974, Public Law 12-85, the district court has had no local jurisdiction, and it handles its own jury selection procedure through federal law. So while I appreciate the sentiment of the questions that were posed, I'd like to remind my colleagues that that was discussed during the committee meeting and shared during the committee meeting. And in regard to the bill itself, yes, so as Vice Speaker discussed, this is really just a measure of relief for students. We've heard this countless times from students at the university, whether it's friends that we're talking to in passing, whether it's an outreach event that we're holding at the Welcome Back event for the Student Government Association at UOG. It's just a measure of relief to really enhance these educational experiences and ensure that the youth of Guam, the youth that we represent, especially us at the university, so formerly the Vice Speaker, formerly Representative Garrido, and currently Representative DeGracia, Representative Yabut, it's very important that we are the ones spearheading this for our constituents in this body that is meant to represent the youth. I know there may be concerns about whether this excludes youth entirely, and I'd just like to also remind my colleagues that the language of the bill makes it so that they may be excused. It's not a blanket recusal or exclusion from jury duty. So it is at the discretion of those who select jurors through their processes, and this would just make it allowable for them to be excused. And then, of course, yes, I just really like to speak to this being a measure of relief. And as has been spoken before by the leader, Mr. Leader, Madam Legislative Secretary, students are struggling, especially during these times, attending classes, completing homework, taking exams. We have students who have complained to us specifically about Saturday classes and saying that although their classes on Saturday, they still must prepare for exams, they still must take on graduate level work that occurs at the university. So really, I think it's very fitting that this bill is introduced in the body because as was previously stated, it was introduced by a faculty at the University of Guam who also received this recommendation from students. It was introduced by I believe the former chairman of the Committee on Education in the 34th or 35th Guam legislature, if I remember correctly. So it's very fitting that we now find ourselves here in the body that represents the youth, introduced by representatives and former representatives of the university. So I'd like to urge my colleagues to support this measure of relief for students. Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Flores. Back on the main motion, would any other representative choose to speak on Bill 2-33? Representative Lazama, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a question for the main sponsor of the bill.
Vice Speaker LeBang, do you yield to a question?
Yes.
Representative Lazama, state your question.
Does this bill also exempt students from jury service during the course of spring break, winter break, and the course of the summer?
Yes.
Representative Lazama, if you can please speak louder. I think the mic's muffling all of us. Thank you.
My question is, does this bill apply to students also being exempted from jury service during the course of summer and spring break and winter break?
I will believe yes, as long as they are enrolled in school. Because the language of the bill says that officially enrolled.
Representative Lazama, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sizos Maasi. Back on the main motion, would anyone like to testify? Representative Common, you're recognized.
I have a question for the Vice Speaker and Representative Flores.
My apologies, Representative Common. So you did speak already.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And so we normally do one round. If another representative would like to yield their time to you, that is
Okay.
also allowable.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, may I ask for like a 1-minute recess?
Yes, sir. We're in recess.
Sizos Maasi.
Test, test.
We are back from recess. Would anyone like to speak on the motion on the bill 2-33? Representative Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do have a question for the main sponsor of this bill, if he would do so yields.
Vice Speaker LeBang, do you yield to a question?
Yes.
So just for clarity of the language in the bill, does it also pertain to trade schools or just college and high school? That's my question.
Apologies, Vice Speaker.
Sorry, if may I ask him to reiterate the question?
Of course. Representative Valencia, can you please restate your question?
Okay. So the language in the bill states specifically high school and college, no? My question is, does that then, at least in the college level, also involve trade schools?
I'm open to making an amendment if anyone wishes to make an amendment to add trade school to the bill itself.
Suzos Masi, Vice Speaker. Representative Valencia, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Suzos Masi, Representative DeGracia, and then Representative Chung.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I just wanted to point out, because I know Representative Al-Labang talked about the conversation between Dr. Ronald McNinch. I'm not too sure if many of you guys are actually familiar with who Dr. McNinch is, but I just want to explain some of his background just so that you can get a feel of who he is and what he represents and why his opinion matters about on this bill. So Dr. Ronald McNinch is actually an associate professor and the chair of public administration and legal studies program at the University of Guam. He is also elected the board of directors for the National Association of State Boards of Education, and McNinch was also elected along with 6 other newly elected board members at the NASBE annual conference in Omaha, and that was on November 4. He actually also holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from West Georgia College, an MPA in systems administration from Georgia College, and a doctorate in political science with a public administration emphasis from Georgia State University. So somebody with this distinction and background and education, and showing that his expressed in support of this bill shows how important that his opinion really matters, and that you should also find your support and also ask questions in understanding why this bill is important. But the main thing is, I just wanted to express that his opinion matters, and I'm pretty sure the committee has also done their research and has fully reviewed the bill. So I just want to express my support, and that I hope you all find that the same support that I have for this bill, and also ask your questions to, please just express yourselves and understand, what kinks can we get out of this bill and move on forward. Thank you.
Suzos Masi, Representative DeGracia. Representative Chung, you're recognized.
I would like to yield my time to Representative Common.
Suzos Masi, Representative Common, on your question, sir.
How do I ask the question again?
Vice Speaker LeBang, do you yield to a question?
Yes.
You may continue.
So my question to Vice Speaker is, do we know the percentage of exemptions of students who say, I am a college student in the courts? Like, do we know that information from the courts? How many students, or what's the percentage of these exemptions, to see if really is the court giving that opportunity? That's all. Thank you.
In the intent part of the bill, we said that it affects mostly 4,000 high school and college students, but the way that court does jury selection is through random sampling. And as a math major, I cannot really verify that unless the court presents the way how they select jury duty through random sampling. So to answer that question, percentage-wise, I cannot tell, but it depends on how the court does their sampling in terms of selecting jury duty. That's-
Suzos Masi, Vice Speaker LeBang, Representative Common, does that satisfy your question?
I would say no, because I do understand that we're looking at the random sampling and the percentage, but what I'm asking is if we know how many times the court has exempted students or other people on these things, can we go to say that the courts are listening to these good, I wouldn't say good, these good, or these, not excuses, because these are not excuses, but is the court listening to it and considering it? Because, you know, I have a feeling that the courts do consider that and they do take that into consideration. So if, you know, if we could get a number from the judiciary of Guam, how many times has this been, or how many times have students been exempted? That's my question, I want a number of how many times this has been done. Because if it's a large number, you know, passing this bill, you know, wouldn't be necessary because already the courts are understanding and listening to the reasons why people can attend. Because I know that some people are exempted because they are a parent, or there's ways to get out of jury duty, and you know, I think the courts are not. I don't think the courts are unfair. I think the courts listen and the judges listen to all points. So that concludes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Vice Speaker.
Suzos Masi, Representative Common. Back on the main motion, would any representatives choose to speak on Bill 2-33? Representative Bailey and then Representative Perez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I would just like to briefly voice my concerns on this topic. And my concerns largely revolve around the fact that this is mostly a body of students, and I feel that for a body of students to pass a bill that would quite obviously largely benefit us would be to act more out of self-interest than the interest of our community at large. So, I mean, I would like to thank the Vice Speaker and Representative Flores for a well-thought-out bill. However, I do worry that for us to pass it would be, again, to act more out of self-interest. That's all I have, and I yield my time to the chair.
Suzos Masi, Representative Bailey, Representative Perez, you are recognized.
Thank you. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. I just want to thank Madam Speaker and thank Vice Speaker and Rep. Flores for their intentions on this bill. And I do see the, once again, the intention of looking out for our students, especially in jury duty, since it is a very time-consuming mentally and physically for our youth. But I do want to express my concern for that in my opinion, if we limit our youth to be a part of our justice system, it's not fully providing a service for our community and ensuring that everyone is given a fair and speedy trial. And also, my other concern is that I think this bill is a bit broad for our body, and I think that if more research is done into statements from the students, as the reps have mentioned, and statements from University of Guam and other schools on Guam, as well as Department of Education, I do think that I would support this bill, but as of now, I do also share concerns, as Representative Common has made, with more evidence that we need for this bill. And even though I do understand it and do fully agree that our students should be looked out for and supported by the courts, by their schools, and even by their peers, as of now, I think that the bill is also looking into more self-interest rather than benefiting our island as a whole. Thank you.
Suzos Masi, Representative Perez. Any other representative? Representative Makepeace, you are recognized.
1 is half a day. In Public Law 9-256 of the 9th Guam Legislature, the exemptions that they originally listed as the only exemptions were for people over the ages of 70, for active service members, for members of the fire department, for active clergy members. And for people who had served already. This is the original exemptions that were provided. These have since changed in time to what they currently are, with them including for those who are 65 years of age or older, or for those who are breastfeeding infants. This public law has been changed multiple times to help best the people of Guam. This act has been looked at constantly. In the 33rd Guam legislature, Senator Dennis Rodriguez introduced a bill for exempting certain public sector allied health professions. This bill was also introduced during the 35th Guam legislature to help support the students of high school and college on Guam. This bill has a huge effect. Students go to school and they have to worry about school. They've done a great deal to try to focus and try to do their best to excel at school. However, there have been instances in which jury duty has caused a negative effect. According to an interview that Vice Speaker Nelson gave at the time, on March 12, 2019, it said in her bill that an estimated 4,000 high school and college students who regularly attend class are negatively affected when required to miss class for jury service. On average, students are allowed no more than 3 excused absences, and that most classes have an attendance requirement that also impacts the students' grades directly. We have a lot of students who are currently being negatively impacted by this lack of action. This bill would help protect those students, help them excel in which they would otherwise maybe be forced to retake a class, pay thousands of dollars because they were selected for jury duty. This bill is something that will help these students, help those that are struggling to get by, help them to make a better choice, to be able to excel in the future by being able to focus on their studies. Thank you.
Sizos Masi, Representative Makepeace. Back on the main motion for Bill 2-33, Representative Kitticho, you are recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I support this bill because as a student, I'm aware of the effects of missing class and not being there for a class you're literally paying an arm and leg for. Just because we're in college does not mean we're so well off. Yes, we're privileged to afford education, but with the help of scholarships and grants that require community service, good grades, and other requirements just to be able to where we are. I can only imagine the sentiments of those who had to completely fail, drop, or withdraw from their classes, all because the professor does not excuse them because of jury duty. All of that time, money, and effort goes to waste. When I was at the community college, one of my classmates had jury duty and almost failed because our professor wouldn't excuse her. So yes, I believe we need this bill to help students, especially those in college and high school. Sizos Masi, Representative Labang, and Flores for introducing this bill and being the voice of our fellow students.
Sizos Masi, Representative Kitticho. Any other representative wish to speak? If not, Vice Speaker on the motion.
Voting.
Vice Speaker, on the motion to move Bill dash 20,
Closing statement.
yes, my apologies, closing statement, sir.
I know there's a lot of concern with this bill, but I know that it kind of looks self-interest in the way that we introduced this bill, but it's not that intention. I don't want to just say out names of students that I've known who have gone through jury duty and have to drop class. I don't want to do that, because it's going to be hard for them to defend themselves. But I just want to make people realize that it does happen, that jury duty affects students. Sorry. I know that it's been introduced for the past legislature but never moved. But I feel with pandemic, I think we need to start this measure moving. We need to move this forward. And that's what I intend to do if this bill passes today, is to reach out to our senators to pass this bill if they can, because this is what our students need. And I want to thank Representative Flores for sponsoring this with me, because it's very important for us who goes to University of Guam that we listen to our constituents in there, because they're the one who elected us in here. And if we do not follow what they wish, then it should be us who needs to be held accountable. Madam Speaker, being a youth Congress is a duty. And this duty that I've been afforded to will be an honor of my life, and that moving a bill that my constituents in the past have reached out to me is an honor to have it be introduced by me, Representative Flores, and representing their wishes to be exempted from jury duty. That's all, and I move to place Bill 2-33 COR to the third voting file.
Sizos Mossy, Vice Speaker LeBang, on the motion to move Bill 2-33 to the third reading file for voting. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Majority Leader Blas Tyrone, you are recognized and we are in motions.
Sizos Mossy, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to have the sworn-in representative reflect first roll call.
Sizos Mossy, there has been a motion to include our 3 representatives into our first roll call. Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Majority Leader, you're still recognized.
Sizos Mossy, I'd like to make a motion to excuse members not present.
Thank you. On the motion to excuse members not present for today's session, do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Vice Speaker LeBang, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, as per the request of the sponsor, I move to refer back Bill 4-33 COR to the Committee on Rules.
Sizos Mossy, Vice Speaker. On the motion to refer Bill 4-33 as the request of the prime sponsor to refer back to the committee, do I hear an objection? Okay. Hearing none, motion passes. We are back in motions. Would any representative like to make a motion? Representative Yabut, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I motion to put Bill 7-33 COR into the second reading file for discussion.
Sizos Mossy, motion to place Bill 7-33 into the second reading file for discussion. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Representative Yabut, on your opening.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning, everyone. I'm really honored and glad to have been able to introduce Bill 7 this term, which aims to ban the sale of polystyrene foam containers as well as the serving of prepared foods in these containers alongside Vice Speaker LeBang and Representative Kyle DeHelig. This bill was also introduced in the 32nd Youth Congress, and I think that its reintroduction here speaks volumes about just how important the issue surrounding it is, surrounding our environment and surrounding our concerns about the landfill. I was also extremely fortunate to be able to work very closely with former Senator Lee on the now enacted plastic bag ban, and I believe that the banning of styrofoam is the next step for our island to further protect our environment and slow the filling of our landfill. And as we debate on the bill today, I hope everyone keeps in mind that we are, in fact, the youth of our island, and that in the very near future, we'll have to be the ones bearing the brunt of dealing with all the current environmental issues that we're facing, including the fast-filling landfill that we have here. And this bill is simply one of the precautionary measures that we can take in order to ensure that our island and its natural environment is nurtured not only for us, but for future generations and generations after that. And I'm really looking forward to the testimony on the bill today and any amendments that anyone has. And yes, that's all, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Yabut. Would any representative choose to speak on Bill 7-33? Representative Lozama, you are recognized.
I have a question for the main sponsor of the bill.
Thank you. Will the author yield to a question?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Representative Lozama, state
Yabut-
your question.
Representative Yabut, for small businesses that do rely on polystyrene foam containers for the distribution of their food and goods, what would be alternatives instead of using polystyrene foam containers?
The goal as of right now for alternatives, thank you for the question, by the way, is we're looking first at transitioning to biodegradable containers, cardboard containers, paper, as these containers are better for the environment and they also biodegrade a lot faster than styrofoam does. And so, I mean, personally, my goal is one day, hopefully, we can all be using reusable containers that we could bring to places. But as of right now, in the near future, those are the current alternatives. I would also like to state that some restaurants already don't use styrofoam containers and use cardboard and paper. So that's already something that's currently being done, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Yabut. Representative Lozama, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Mossy. Back on the discussion for 7-33. Would any representative like to testify? Representative Chung, was that? Yes? Okay, Representative Chung, you're recognized, sir.
First, I would like to rise in support of this bill. I believe that we have a universal responsibility to be stewards of our planet, and this responsibility carries with it a liability for the pollution we create. It is my stance that we should strive to eliminate the use of known pollutants and opt for better, more renewable alternatives. With this said, I express concerns for the effect this bill will have on small businesses and restaurants on Guam. I believe that there should be an additional education campaign to inform businesses of this bill prior to its enactment, and/or a 6-month grace period for businesses after the enactment of this bill to empty their stock after January 1st, 2023. Smaller businesses must be weary of their transactions, especially in these challenging times. I can attest that I know Chinese restaurant owners who rely on styrofoam for carry-out packaging who have faced financial ruin in this period. The pandemic's effect on smaller restaurants has been disastrous, and I believe the effects of this pandemic on restaurants will be felt for years even after the island recovers. If we do not give them the opportunity to empty their stock of styrofoam containers, they will suffer even more losses than they already have. Businesses must spend time and money to experiment with different materials after the styrofoam ban, and I believe we should recognize and support their effort by means of informing the community and granting them more time if needed. Once again, I would like to clarify that I do support this bill, but I also support amendments that would seek to help businesses transition to a cleaner future void of styrofoam. Thank you.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Chung. Representative Helig, you're recognized.
Sidus Maasi, Madam Speaker, I would like to request for a short recess.
We are in recess.
Sidus Maasi.
We are back in session. Representative Helix, you are recognized.
Sujus Masi, Madam Speaker. Bill 733 is adapted by former Republican Senator Fernando Esteves' Bill 379, which was introduced in the 34th legislature. Bill 7 matches the intent of Bill 37934, which encourages the shift toward an island and region with less waste and encouraging renewable use and alternatives. To strengthen this bill, I and Representative Alexander Gale offer a floor amendment that will encourage educational outreach that will help lead the community towards the ban, leading up to the ban. And so we offer an amendment to lines 12, page 4, to amend the bill to read, educational outreach means engaging with the community through means such as publication, social media, and ways the agency may prefer, with an announcement 1 year prior to enactment and 6 months prior to enactment. And in addition to that, the agency responsible for this, we would like to amend lines 3, page 4. So the agency shall be responsible for the educational outreach and enforcement of the provisions of this chapter. And this is in relation to Guam Environmental Protection Agency.
Suzos Masi, Representative DeHelig. On the DeHelig amendment, would anyone wish to speak? First, Vice Speaker LeBang and then Representative Gale. Vice Speaker LeBang, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, I do support the intent of the education part, and I just feel that they should also, just having two announcements, I feel is kind of not enough. So I propose an amendment to the amendment to add 1 year prior to enactment, 6 months prior to enactment, and 1 month prior to an enactment.
Suzos Masi, Vice Speaker LeBang. So we have a proffered amendment to the amendment, and it's going to read on line 12, page 4, to amend section 2 of the bill. So after, it's going to say an announcement 1 year prior to enactment, 6 months prior to enactment, and 1 month prior to enactment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to the author of the amendment, would you like to include that into the original amendment, and then we can vote on that together? Representative DeHelig?
Sujus Masi, Madam Speaker. If I may, I'd like to hear any of the sentiments of our colleagues to get an opinion on adding 1 month prior to the enactment.
Suzos Masi. So Vice Speaker LeBang, we're going to table that amendment for now, and then we're going to try to hear from the other representatives of our body, and then we will come back to it. Representative Gale, you are recognized.
In regards of the amendment in general, not including the 1 month.
Representative Gale, I do apologize. Can you please speak louder? Thank you.
Is my mic working? Okay, thank you. In regards of the amendment, I believe it is vitally important that an educational campaign be conducted, given that the smooth execution of this bill. Given that the smooth execution of this bill relies upon the community being on board, and that can only be done if they are alert and are knowledgeable of the situation, and given a proper heads up beforehand. And in regards to the 1 month being added, I also am in support of that, given that it just aids in the awareness of the community and the preparedness of our businesses. So that is my stance on it.
Suzos Masi, Representative Gale. Vice Speaker, back to you. Representative DeHelig, are we good on that amendment to the amendment? Do you approve so we can vote?
I'd like to offer some sentiments on also on behalf of adding 1 month.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Sujus Masi. So the intent of doing an educational outreach is to is to offer the community some time, as well as our businesses some time to adjust their supply when it comes to depleting their amount of resources, such as their polystyrene containers. And so having 1 year prior to the enactment and having the agency be required to do an announcement 6 months and 1 month prior to the enactment would only serve the community and businesses to give them a little more time and understanding, and for them to lower their resources on that. So I do support the 1 month prior to the enactment, and I encourage the body to also support the amendment to the amendment. Suzus Masi.
Suzus Masi, Representative Helix. Representative Wang, were you raising your hand? Okay, yes, sir, you're recognized.
I rise in support of this bill and the amendment proposed by Representative Gale. As the youth of Guam, it's important that we are environmentally conscious of our future and we start taking steps to be better stewards of our environment. Equally, I think it will be very important that we stand with businesses and hold their hand throughout the transition process. They serve as a source of employment, livelihood, and are integral in Guam's economy and overall development. Thank you.
Suzus Masi, Representative Wang. Okay, on the Labang amendment to the Dahilig amendment, we're going to call for a vote for Vice Speaker Labang's amendment to include for 1 month prior. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. Suzus Masi. Okay, now we're back on the main amendment, the Helix and Gale amendment. Would anyone wish to speak on that?
I still have the floor.
Oh, thank you, Vice Speaker. You still have the floor.
Thank you. I would like to thank the sponsor of the amendment for adding 1 month, because if you took into account the plastic bag ban, it's funny because on the day that the law took into effect, I went to Home Depot and I don't have a reusable bag. So I had to carry out everything that I bought at Home Depot, and it's not that fun, you know. So at least 1 month prior that law will take into effect, we will have more time to educate people on the law that is being affected. So that's the reason why I added 1 month. Thank you.
Suzus Masi. Would any other representative wish to speak? Representative Chung and then Representative Common. Representative Chung, you are recognized.
I would like to rise in support of this amendment as it resolves my concerns regarding the original bill. I believe that this amendment greatly improves on the original bill, and it gives businesses a period of time to recover and to keep track of their usage. I would like to also support the amendment to the amendment, as I believe that 6 months is a relatively long time for businesses to keep track of, especially in these chaotic times, I suppose. And I see no reason for someone who supports the original amendment to reject a 1 month reminder to businesses. And I would also like to thank the original sponsors of the bill for being open and understanding of the intentions of the amendment. And yeah.
Suzus Masi, Representative Chung. Representative Common, you are recognized on the Dahilig amendment.
Yes. I'm in support for the amendment and the bill because we are stewards of our environment. But I do have a concern that is it possible we could maybe add an amendment or add to that amendment how giving instructions to these businesses how to dispose of these styrofoams products, because they could throw it in the trash or they could burn it, and either which would be bad for our environment. So if it is possible, can we add instructions for these businesses how to properly dispose of it, or if we could give it to a government agency here on Guam to be the ones to take care of the disposal of styrofoam. Yeah. Thank you.
Suzus Masi, Representative Helix, do you yield?
Suzus Masi, yes, I do, Madam Speaker. The amendment on line 12, page 4, includes in words. So I don't know if you guys are able to pull it up, but the community educational outreach means engaging with the community through means such as publications, social media, and ways the agency may prefer with an announcement. So I want to offer the Guam Environmental Protection Agency to have the ability to reach out to the businesses. I don't think that the legislature should dictate on what to say, on how to dispose or to work with in regard to that. I want to offer the businesses and the Guam Environmental Protection Agency their authority to exercise their authority in addressing this issue. So I think it would be an overreach of government of ways if we were to dictate step by step by step by step. So we're going to leave it to the experts, Guam Environmental Protection Agency. I trust that they can do a phenomenal outreach period. And so we're giving this year, the enactment date is not until 2023. So we're going to give them 1 year, 2 year, 6 months, and 1 month prior for them to have these outreaches. But it doesn't stop them from talking about it now. So, and the way that they want to go about it is the way that the Guam Environmental Protection Agency should go about it. So I would be not in favor of including steps that would have otherwise been written by Guam Environmental Protection Agency. Sujus Masi.
Sujus Masi. Representative Common, does that satisfy?
Yes, thank you.
Sujus Masi, okay, thank you. Back on the Helix Amendment. Would any other representative wish to testify on the Helix Amendments? The Helix and Gale Amendment. Okay, seeing none, Representative Helix, you are welcome to close, sir.
Sujus Maasi for everyone's thoughts and comments. And I look forward to the passage of this amendment to strengthen the bill and to lead our island to a more sustainable future, starting today. Sujus Maasi.
Sujus Masi, Representative Helix. We're calling for the vote for the Helix Amendment. Okay, all those in favor of the Helix Amendment, please raise your hand. Okay, majority, amendment passes. Okay. Representative Helix, you are recognized for your second amendment. Oh, my apologies. I think the drive. Okay. Majority Leader Boz Tyrone, you're recognized.
Sujus Masi, Madam Speaker. So I do appreciate the amendment that was passed previously, but I think it fails to think about when, or not fails to, but it doesn't necessarily take into account when businesses are unable to deplete their stock. Then what do they do? They're going to have to, upon the enactment date, they'll just have to throw away what they have, their stock. And so I would like to propose an amendment on page 21, or line 21, page 4, that includes vendors or restaurants may purchase polystyrene containers up until 60 days prior to the enactment date. And then after that, vendors and restaurants will be allowed to exhaust their stock of polystyrene containers until it is fully depleted. And the only reason why I think this is useful is because even though the sponsor of the amendment mentioned how EPA will be the agency providing this educational component, there's no specification of when the cutoff date to purchase polystyrene containers would be. And so I feel like this bill in particular would benefit from putting a hard date to stop purchasing. And if anybody would like to amend that date, whether they want to make it 100 and some days before the enactment date, I'm welcome to that too. But I do think that the businesses should be given the opportunity to exhaust their stock. And just speaking on behalf of my constituents in one of the largest commercial districts of Guam, I think that this will be a big undertaking and a large transition for them. And I would hate for them to just throw away bundles of what they've purchased because it's just going to be doing the same job. So I think they should be allowed to deplete their stocks. I welcome any questions, and Sujus Masi for hearing me.
Sujus Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. We're going to take a quick recess real fast. Thank you. we're only going to be entertaining amendments on the Drive PDF form. So Representative De Helix, you have 2 amendments.
So who's ever going to lunch later? I'm going to draw now. So we can reserve. Yes. You have a suggestion?
We're back from recess. On the Blas Amendment, would any representative wish to speak? Representative Helix, you are recognized.
Sujus Maasi, Madam Speaker. I oppose the amendment on the basis that this will be setting a precedence for other laws that if by a certain enactment date, affected entities will still be allowed to break the law. The prior amendment included and passed just moments ago by the body already provides the opportunity for businesses to deplete their pile. I think that this amendment would weaken the intent of this bill and the intent for sustainability. I am open for the amendment to an amendment if that would require businesses to deplete their stockpile before the enactment date, but not afterwards. If we are going to be stern on sustainability and in accordance to the law, then we should stand by it. Sujus Maasi.
Sujus Maasi, Representative Helix. Representative Helix, if you have an amendment to the amendment, please please follow the proper procedures, and then we can address it at that time. But we're talking about the Blas Amendment. Representative Helix?
I will not be offering an amendment, but I am open if anyone would like to offer an amendment to amendment that would deplete the stockpile before the enactment date. But otherwise, I do believe that the amendment that we passed just moments earlier has already does that purpose for us. So I mean, I wouldn't be offering that amendment as to I think that the amendment is not beneficial at this time.
Okay.
And for the intent of the bill, Sujus Maasi.
Sujus Maasi. Representative Blas Tyrone?
Can I speak on the amendment?
Yes.
So I don't believe that that this intersects with the previous amendment. I can
Okay,
close.
Representative Blas Tyrone, my apologies. Before you speak on your amendment, would any other Representative Bailey on the Blas Amendment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just like to reiterate the concerns of Representative DeHelig that this would set that precedent. And I would also like to say that the previous amendment does, in a way, overlap with this one, as businesses are already given a one-year timeline of when this is going to go into effect. And I believe that that would be plenty of time for them to reduce their stockpile and to allow them to continue to stockpile up until that point with the knowledge that they could expend the ones that they, like the stock that they already have, would encourage them to, right before the effective date, take advantage of that to stockpile before it's in effect and continue to expend that, that stock after the enactment of this bill. So I share those concerns, and I am also opposed to this amendment. Thank you.
Sujus Maasi, would any other representative choose to speak on the Blas Tyrone Amendment? Okay. Representative Blas Tyrone, you are welcome to close.
Sujus Maasi, Madam Speaker. Okay, so before we get into voting, I'd just like to clarify again. The amendment passed before this was for the phased education program. Yes, that will notify companies or restaurants, vendors of when this is supposed to be enacted, but still, they could be purchasing polystyrene. That's not a part of that amendment. Additionally, with business, you never know. You may have a business that's performing very well, as we saw last year, in the first quarter of the year, and then when COVID hits, it's hard for them to, deplete their stock of polystyrene. And so, because of the unpredictability of businesses, it's important that we give them the chance to get rid and deplete what they purchase, or the polystyrene that they purchase. If we allow businesses to, if we are saying that on December 31st, they are to get rid of all their polystyrene materials, they will just dispose of that. So my amendment just addresses that problem. Let's not just dispose of that. Let's allow our business owners to get what they paid for and utilize those polystyrene containers for customers because it's just going to end up in the same place as if it were, as if they had to throw everything away on December 31st. So again, I just like to say that this does not, the first amendment passed before this does not do the same thing, does not have the same purpose as this amendment. And additionally, I think we have to think about how much they're purchasing. I know my colleague before me mentioned how they could purchase a whole ton of polystyrene, and that could make them right before the deadline that's set in this amendment. But that's why I had reiterate, and I continue to reiterate, that the 60 days before the enactment of this is very flexible. We could make it even earlier, but we need to have we should set a solid date for these businesses to say, you know what, okay, now, or to say, no, we can't purchase anymore, which is something that the amendment and the current bill does not do. So to end, I just say, either way, there's going to be a lot of polystyrene wasted. Why not just allow our businesses, which are already struggling already, to just deplete it fully and then stop using it, instead of just throwing away a whole bunch of it. And so I urge my colleagues to support this because I think it's important. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Representative Helix, you're recognized. Wait.
Madam Speaker, is it possible if I can just ask for a very short recess?
Recess denied. We're going to vote on the Blas amendment. So, representatives, we're going to vote on the Blas amendment. If you can see it on the Google Drive, we're going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the Blas amendment, please raise your hand. For the Blas amendment. Okay. Raise your hands high, please. 1, 2. Amendment fails. We're back on the main motion for Bill 7-33. Would any representative choose to speak? Representative Yabut? Representative Yabut, before you. Would any representative choose to speak on the main motion for Bill? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to express my quick support for this bill. I think it's very necessary, seeing how the plastic bag ban went into effect and the issues, the different kinks that we've had to iron out through other means and legislation. So I'm very happy that we're addressing this now and we're taking into account the perspectives of our small business community to ensure that the experiences, what we've learned from the plastic bag ban, kind of that spearheading legislation, are addressed now here, and we can get moving and hopefully won't receive as much resistance for something that we desperately need. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores. Legislative Secretary, one moment, ma'am. Representative Blas Tyrone on the main motion for 733.
Yes, I'd just like to express my support for this bill. I do firmly believe in its mission. And I think, and I've used this model before, a few years ago, our brothers and sisters, our islander siblings, right, in Boracay in the Philippines, they experienced, a lot of tourists. Their tourism took a plunge because of problems with like polystyrene or plastics. And I think that they've come back stronger with it, having a better idea. And I think that's something that we could avoid here. And I appreciate that we're looking out for environment, because ultimately our environment is really tied to our identity as islander people, to our Chamorro culture, and it's really preserving our land and yeah, supporting who we are, and we are able to preserve the land for future generations to come. So I just also like to express my support for this bill.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. If any representatives choose to speak on the main bill for 7-33. Okay, seeing none, Representative Yabut, you are welcome to close.
Yes. Madam Speaker, I'd actually like to proffer an amendment.
Okay.
This is just a technical amendment on line 24, page 5, to amend it to read and change the a prohibition date. As of the moment, it reads beginning on January 1st, 2021. I'd just like to change that to match the enactment date of 2023. It's just a technical correction, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Yabut on the Yabut Amendment 2 for a technical amendment changing 2021 to 2023. Do I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion passes. Representative Valencia on your amendment, sir.
Yes, I do actually have two to propose for you, Madam Speaker. So the first amendment would be on page 4, line 11, and it would define the word import, defined as the act of bringing goods and merchandise into an intended location from an external source, location, or distributor of those goods and merchandise. This is for the intent of establishing that definition for further follow-up.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Valencia. Would any representative choose to speak on the Valencia amendment? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, if I may propose that we combine the amendments or make a motion to combine the two Valencia amendments, seeing as they are for the same section.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Flores. So there's been a motion to combine the two Valencia amendments. Does everyone have access to it on their Google? No one can see it?
It's in the floor amendments.
In the floor
folder
amendments?
under Bill 733.
Okay, we'll give a couple seconds for you guys to view it, and then we're going to take a vote on the motion to combine the two Valencia amendments. We are in recess. Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
In regards to Representative Flores's amendment to my amendment, I do deem it appropriate and I do accept that. So following up on what that then should be worded, if that's proper, yes? I'll presume so. So including the definition, it would then include the second section, which would include on page 4, line 14, vendors or restaurants may offer for the sale or distribute disposable containers to consumers. Vendors and restaurants shall not import, offer for sale, or distribute disposable containers unless such containers meet the following criteria, and below are the definitions.
Sizos Mossy, Representative Valencia. So we're going to call for the vote now for the Valencia amendment. For the amendment to the amendment. If anyone in objection, Representative De Helix, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, will the body have an opportunity to speak on behalf of the amendment to the amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Representative De Helix, you are recognized.
Sizos Mossy. So I do apologize just for being a little disheveled a bit, but the amendment to the amendment is to include the two public P4L14 and P4L11. Okay, sorry, just for clarification, Sizos Mossy.
Sizos Mossy, does any representative wish to speak on the amendment to the amendment? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go for that vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. On the main amendment, on the main Valencia amendment, does anyone wish to speak? Representative De Helix, you are recognized.
Sizos Mossy, Madam Speaker, and to the sponsor of the amendment, I do believe that including the simple word of import will strengthen Bill number 7-33, so that businesses and vendors will not have an easy access to purchasing any of these polystyrene containers leading up to the enactment date. So by banning the import, the offering of sale, and distribution, it strengthens the intent of the bill and offers the maximum amount of flexibility for our businesses. Suzus Masi.
Suzus Masi, Representative Helix. Any other representative choose to speak on the Valencia Amendment? Okay, hearing none. Representative Valencia, you're welcome to close.
Thank you all for the support to these amendments. I do believe that it does strengthen the bill greatly, and it does fix a possible loophole which we pointed out here today. Thank you.
Suzus Masi. So now we're going to vote on the Valencia Amendment. If everyone has access, can see it? Okay. Please raise your hands if you are in favor of the Valencia Amendment. Amendment passes. Okay, we are finally back on the main motion for 7-33. Would anyone like to speak on the main bill? Hearing, seeing none. Legislative Secretary Yabud, you're welcome to close.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to everyone for their testimonies today and the debate on the bill today. I think we've talked a lot today about how styrofoam usage is a huge environmental and also an environmental issue, and I just wanted to end by saying that the issue of the consumption of styrofoam is not only an environmental issue, it's also an economic issue, as we talked about today, and it's going to be an economic issue when we realize that when our landfill fills up too quickly, we're going to scramble to find the money to try and build a new one. And in addition to that, it's also a health issue when we realize that styrofoam usage is linked to causing several medical conditions, including several types of cancers. And it becomes a political one when we realize that our neighboring islands in the FSM have already banned styrofoam usage in their islands, and we have yet to do so. So really, it's an everything issue, right? And Bill 7 is just a step in the right direction to resolving these issues and bettering all parts of our island and all the different facets of our island. And it is going to be a big change. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I think that having the enactment take place in 2023 and with the help of all the amendments that were proffered and passed today, it gives our community a substantial amount of time to prepare themselves and to adjust for the coming change, just like we're doing with the current plastic bag ban. And I just think we need to remember that we're not gonna be able to make progress if we don't have big changes. And that's the mindset that we need to have when we're looking at issues like styrofoam consumption. And lastly, I just wanted to thank all my colleagues today once again for firstly indulging in this bill. I'd like to thank my fellow co-sponsors, Vice Speaker Alabang and Representative Kyle DeHelig for co-sponsoring this measure with me. And it's just an issue that I think should be talked about more. And I'm really grateful to have gotten to do just that on today's session floor. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Yabud. On your motion, ma'am? On the motion to place.
Madam Speaker, I move to place Bill 7-33 into the third voting file.
Suzus Masi, there's been a motion to place Bill 7-33 as further amended on the floor into the third reading file for voting. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. We're back on the main motion on our legislative agenda. We're going to be following Bill 5 now. Representative Flores, you are recognized.
Suzus Masi, Madam Speaker, I move to place Bill number 5-33 in the second reading file.
Suzus Masi, there's been a motion to place 5-33 into the second reading file for discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Higher, please. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. You're recognized, sir.
Suzus Masi, Madam Speaker, put estina opportunidad. I estina momentu paggu gefen put tanti parailina latta paggu. I tempun motna zani famago onta. Tenesisita I estina bill parahita I menhobenguahan zan todo I famago onta. I haletta I estoriata I koturata zanilina latta mangagagi gilanguahita. This moment now is a very important one for our lives today, our futures, and the future of our children. We need this bill for ourselves as a people, as the youth of Guam, and for all of our children. Within our language are our roots, our history, our culture, and our life. The intent of this bill is simply to ensure that the actions undertaken by I Comisión Finotsumoru, the primary government agency for advancing the revitalization and preservation of the Chamorro language, is made effective, for those who will carry the language forward, so for the youth of Guam. So adding youth representation ensures that these, all the initiatives undertaken by E-Commission are specifically tailored for the youth of Guam. And having a youth representative there, one elected by the Guam Youth Congress and one, or appointed, I'm sorry, and then appointed by the governor, provides that opportunity to ensure that these are best fit for carrying the language forward. Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores. Would any representative wish to speak on Bill 5-33? Representative Kitchito, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. Husapotsi Estino bill. I support this bill because it brings good exposure to the youth who are still learning the language and will encourage youth to want to learn the language and to represent our people and culture in the Commission. Sizos Masi, Representative Nolan, for creating this bill.
Sizos Masi, Representative Kitchito. Any other representative wish to speak? Representative De Hilig, you are recognized.
Undangklana Sizos Masi, Golf Importante, C Bill.
Sizos Masi, Representative De Hilig. Any other representative wish to speak? Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. And I just like to say, Sandangkuluna Sizos Masi to Representative Flores for introducing this bill. As in the words of our Magahaga, Koman Listuhit, are we ready for youth representation in E-Commission Ifino tomorrow? And the answer is Hungyan Man Listuham. We are ready, we've been ready. I think this is such a great opportunity to show how our culture, our indigenous culture, is alive and well within the youth of Guam. Now, when I first came across this bill, I admit I had some reservations because of what I perceived to be a challenging task to find an individual who can speak our language fluently. But the sponsor of the bill had pointed out that this is one of the only, if not the only entity in government of Guam that conducts meetings fully in Chamorro. And I think that we forget, I think the entirety of Guam forgets, with an exception of few, that Chamorro is one of two official languages, but it is in the native indigenous language of Guam. It's been here 4,000 years, and it will be here as long as Guam is an island. So I think that it's important that we show our support as youth. We stand up for our culture, whether we can identify with indigenous blood or not. We need allies to support us, and we need this space to encourage our youth to learn the language. And we need help from people who maybe don't identify as Chamorro to help preserve our language. If all of us who call Guam home have a responsibility to learn about Guam's culture, to learn Guam's language, and to learn more about the indigenous people of Guam. And so again, Sizos Masi, Senor Flores, por the legislación. I'm in strong support of this, and I look forward to really hearing the youth come alive in these commission meetings, and to be a part of the Guam Youth Congress, the term that passed this and sees this as important, because without our culture, without our identity, Guam becomes nothing. So our culture is what makes it special, our language, and we need to exhaust all our resources to protect it. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone. Any other representative wish to speak on Bill 5-33? Hearing or seeing none. Representative Flores, you are welcome to close.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to thank both my colleagues here today and also in the 32nd Guam Youth Congress for the outpouring of support that we've gotten for this bill. And I'd just like to share that we've received that same support from the community, from members of E-Commission, who have been very eager about this bill, who have emailed me even after we passed it, asking where are our representatives to go on the board? Why aren't they there at the commission yet? So I'd be very happy once this bill passes, gets hopefully implemented into law, to let them know of this. Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores, on your motion, sir.
Yes, Madam Speaker, Sizos Masi. I move to place Bill 5-33 in the third reading file. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi. On the motion to place Bill 5-33 into the third reading file for voting, any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. Representative Blas Tyrone, my apologies. We have exhausted all items in the second reading file. We're back on the legislative agenda. Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to make second roll call reflect first roll call.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone, on the motion to have second roll call reflect first roll call. Any objections? None. Hearing or seeing none, motion passes. We are in a quick recess. The 33rd Guam Youth Congress is back from recess. On our legislative agenda, we're going to the voting file. Mr. Recording Secretary. On bill number, my apologies, on bill number 2-33, Mr. Recording Secretary, vote please.
Bill number 2-33, introduced by Vice Speaker Labang and Representative Flores, an act to add a new section 22108I to Chapter 22 of Title 7, Guam Code Annotated, relative to exempting students from jury service.
Roll call, please.
Representative Bailey?
Nay.
Representative Bailey, nay. Representative Blas Tyron?
Hungan.
Representative Blas Tyron, aye. Representative Camacho?
Nay.
Representative Camacho, nay. Representative Chung?
Nay.
Representative Chung, nay. Representative Common?
Ahi.
Representative Common, nay. Representative De Hilig?
Hungan.
Representative De Hilig, aye. Representative De Gracia?
Aye.
Representative De Gracia, aye. Representative Flores?
Hungan.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale?
Ahi.
Representative Gale, nay. Representative Labang?
Aye.
Representative Labang, aye. Representative Chloe Lizama?
Aye.
Representative Chloe Lizama, aye. Representative Lorenzo?
Hungan.
Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace?
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani?
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda?
Aye.
Representative Pareda, aye. Representative Perez?
Nay. Nay.
Representative Perez, nay. Representative Kitutu?
Hungan.
Representative Kitsutsu, aye. Representative Yajoa.
Nay.
Representative Yajoa, nay. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Nay.
Representative Wang, nay. Representative Yabit.
Aye.
Representative Yabit, aye.
Bill number 2-33 received 14 ayes, 8 nays, and 2 excused. The bill passes. Okay. Voting next on bill number 7-33 as further amended on the floor. Mr. Recording Secretary.
Bill number 7-33, as amended on the floor, introduced by Representative Yabit, Vice Speaker Labang, Representative DeHelig. An act to add a new chapter 54C to Division 2, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to prohibiting the sale of, oh my goodness, polystyrene foam containers and serving of prepared foods using polystyrene foam containers.
Roll call, please.
I never said that one. Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Bailey, aye. Representative Blas-Tyron.
Hungan.
Representative Blas-Tyron, aye. Representative Camacho.
Aye.
Representative Camacho, aye. Representative Chung.
Aye.
Representative Chung, aye. Representative Common.
Hungang.
Representative Common, aye. Representative DeHelig.
Hungan.
Representative DeHelig, aye. Representative DeGracia.
Aye.
Representative DeGracia, aye. Representative Flores.
Ungan.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale.
Hungan.
Representative Gale, aye. Representative Labang.
Yes.
Representative Labang, aye. Representative Chloe Lizama.
Aye.
Representative Chloe Lizama, aye. Representative Lorenzo.
Hungan.
Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace.
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani.
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda.
Aye.
Representative Pareda, aye. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Representative Perez, aye. Representative Kitsutsu.
Hungan.
Representative Kitsutsu, aye. Representative Yajoa.
Aye.
Representative Yajoa, aye. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Aye.
Representative Wang, aye. Representative Yabit.
Aye.
Representative Yabit, aye.
Bill 7-33 as amended on the floor received unanimous support. Bill passes. Next off, we have Bill 5-33. Mr. Recording Secretary.
Bill number 5-33, introduced by Representative Flores, an act to amend Section 88103 and Section 88104, and to add a Section 88103.1, all of Chapter 88, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to adding youth representation to a Comisión y Finochimoru, Dani Finanaguen, Finatnaguen, y Historia, Dani Linatla y Tautau Tonu. The Commission on Chamorro Language and the Teaching of the History and Culture of the Indigenous People of Guam.
Sizos Maasi, roll call, please.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Bailey, aye. Representative Blas-Tyron.
Hungan.
Representative Blas-Tyron, aye. Representative Camacho.
Aye.
Representative Camacho, aye. Representative Chung.
Aye.
Representative Chung, aye. Representative Common.
Hungan.
Representative Common, aye. Representative DeHelig.
Hungan.
Representative DeHelig, aye. Representative DeGracia.
Aye.
Representative DeGracia, aye. Representative Flores.
Ungan.
Representative Flores, aye. Representative Gale.
Hungan.
Representative Gale, aye. Representative Labang.
Aye.
Representative Labang, aye. Representative Chloe Lizama.
Aye.
Representative Chloe Lizama, aye. Representative Lorenzo.
Hungan.
Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace.
Aye.
Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Matanani.
Aye.
Representative Matanani, aye. Representative Pareda.
Aye.
Representative Pareda, aye. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Representative Perez, aye. Representative Kititsu.
Hungan.
Representative Kititsu, aye. Representative Ujoa.
Aye.
Representative Ujoa, aye. Representative Valencia.
Aye.
Representative Valencia, aye. Representative Villanueva.
Aye.
Representative Villanueva, aye. Representative Wang.
Aye.
Representative Wang, aye. Representative Yabut.
Aye.
Representative Yabut, aye.
Sizos Maasi. Bill number 5-33 has received unanimous support. Bill passes. Going back to our legislative session agenda, we are on item 19, brief extensions of remarks. Would any representative choose to be recognized? Representative Kyle DeHelig.
Suzus Maasi, Madam Speaker. I'd like to congratulate and thank the body for passing the bills that were presented to our body today, more specifically Bill 7-33, as it has received unanimous support, which entails that the youth of Guam is ready to lead an island more sustainable and to push us forward and to keep ourselves accountable to the measures in which we ask for. And so I thank the body in our continued effort to lead Guam toward an island with less waste and more sustainability. Suzus Maasi.
Sizos Maasi. Would any other representative wish to speak? Representative Yabut, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I'd also just like to thank everyone as the main sponsor of Bill 7 for all your support. All the amendments that were proffered today were essential in bettering the bill, and now that it's passed, we can send it over to the Guam legislature, hopefully, and get it on their session floor. And I'd also just like to say that I think all three of the bills we passed today as the Guam Youth Congress really have represented the core of what the interests of the youth are, and that's important, right? Because we are a body that makes decisions, and those decisions directly affect our youth and the future of our island, and I think all the bills that were passed today represent that ideal extremely, extremely well. So thank you to everybody for this February session. It was really fun, and I'm looking forward to more sessions after this.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Yabut. Vice Speaker Labang, you're recognized.
I just want to thank everyone who voted in favor and not in favor of Bill 2. It's just, I want to say to students who's watching today that help is on the way. And struggles, we face it, but I think with jury exemption, I feel that it would not make us worry of skipping classes and missing what your classmate learned on that day. And so I would like, again, to thank everyone in here, and it's a productive session. Thank you.
Sizos Maasi, Vice Speaker Labang. Would any other representative like to be recognized? Representative Flores, you are recognized.
Sizos Maasi, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to thank you especially for pushing through with this session as scheduled, even in light of the session, of the legislature session. So I'm glad we're here today. I'm very appreciative of all my colleagues' remarks. We've been able to engage in good discussion, which is great on our first day of session, our first day of substantive discussion. And along those same lines, I'm very glad that we were able to pass two bills that really represent the interests, or I'm sorry, three bills that really represent the interests of the youth going forward. And I'd really like to emphasize who we're here for. We're here for the youth of Guam. We're here representing our individual schools, the university, the Guam Community College, our individual villages. Those are our constituents first and foremost. Yes, we must take into account the more expansive effects of the bills that we pass, but we're here to advocate on behalf of the youth of Guam who have put us here, as the Vice Speaker shared. So Sizos Maasi, I'm glad to have engaged in that today with my colleagues, Madam Speaker.
Sizos Maasi, Representative Flores. Any other member wish to speak on brief extensions? Okay, hearing or seeing none. Next item on our agenda is announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Okay, Representative Blas Tyrone, you're recognized.
So I shared this earlier or yesterday at the meeting, but I just again want to reiterate to each of you that, I think we can all share, and especially with in my village, and with the other two reps here who represent Tutuha, it's a big, there's a big increase in crime we're seeing around our village in many neighborhoods across Tumuning, Tumon, and Harmon. And so we really want to answer the call of also finding solutions as the youth, right, to kind of combat this, and finding, different ways where we can engage youth so that maybe, instead of doing these activities to put food on their table for themselves, they can have more, they can be afforded more opportunities for a better life and more opportunities to make better choices. And so I do encourage any of you, we welcome collaboration within our village to really make something, or make the Guam Youth Congress an outlet to stop this not only in our village, but throughout our island. So it's, this is, the recent activities are not, indicative of who we are, of what we stand for. And I think we all need to come together and unite in order to make it stop. So, Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Representative Blas Tyrone, Representative De Helix, you're recognized.
Sujus Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd like to share an announcement to the residents of Barrigado. The USDA Farmers to Families Food Box Program will be at the Teason Carnival grounds Monday, February 22, 2021, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. While supplies last. And so this is an outreach by the USDA and also the community for those who are in need in this time. And they're offering milk, butter, cheese, chicken leg quarters, taco meat, hot dog sausage, oranges, onions, and potatoes for those who are interested. Undangklun na Sizos Masi, maraming salamat po, kiniso.
Sizos Masi, Representative De Helix. Anyone else wish to speak? Representative Blas Tyrone, oh, I'm so sorry, Representative Flores, was that? Representative Flores, you're recognized.
Sizos Masi, Madam Speaker. The University of Guam will be celebrating its Charter Day soon. I believe they have scheduled a Charter Month, a series of virtual events. I will keep the body updated on that. But if anyone would like to pre-order a Charter Day shirt for 2021, it's $15 and accepted until March 2nd. So please let me know if you'd like to order one. And yeah.
Sizos Masi, Representative Flores. Any other representative wish to speak? Representative Blas Tyrone on the motion to adjourn.
Just Masi, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to motion to adjourn, subject to the call of the Speaker.
Okay, there's been a motion to adjourn. Any objections? Hearing none, we are adjourned.